Jim Bridger, mountain man and scout, James Clyman Bridger, was born on December 28th. He grew up in western Pennsylvania and moved to St. Louis, Missouri with his father and stepmother when he was 19. There he met Manuel Lisa and became one of the first employees of the Missouri Fur Company. In the early 1800s, Bridger traveled extensively in the Rocky Mountains and the Great Basin regions of the United States and is credited with being the first non-native to sight the Great Salt Lake in the desert of what is now Utah. Bridger explored much of the American West, from modern-day Montana all the way down to New Mexico. During his travels, he befriended many Native Americans and learned their languages and customs. He also acquired the nickname Bridger S. Battalion due to his habit of naming geographic locations after people he knew. When he returned east, he told stories of his adventures, which helped promote westward expansion into the territories he had explored. After retiring from trapping, Bridger became a guide and scout for the U.S. Army during the Mexican-American War and assisted in the capture of Santa Fe. He died on July 20, 1848 at the age of 50 and was buried near Independence, Missouri. As you can see, James Bridger lived an incredible life. Let's take some time to learn more about him today. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest facts from human history. Some of the things discussed in this video may be offensive or disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Who was Jim Bridger? James Clyman Bridger was born on December 28, 1797, in Richmond, Virginia. His parents were Rebecca Bridger and Thomas A. Bridger. However, his father abandoned the family soon after his birth, and they moved to western Pennsylvania, where his mother remained. At the age of 19, Jim and his father moved again, this time to St. Louis, Missouri. In St. Louis, Jim met Manuel Lisa, who was a well-known trader in the fur industry. Lisa was so impressed by Bridger that he hired him on the spot as one of the first employees of the Missouri Fur Company. By the age of 23, Bridger had already worked for several companies in the St. Louis area and had established a reputation as an expert tracker. This led to his hiring by John Jacob Astor's American Fur Company in 1822. The American Fur Company sent Bridger west with detailed orders to explore and establish trading posts along the Missouri River. He explored the Missouri River as far north as the mouth of the Yellowstone River, which is present-day North Dakota. After charting much of the Missouri River, Bridger turned his attention to the Yellowstone and explored it from its mouth to its forks in present-day Montana. This trip took Bridger over a year to complete, and he was forced to spend the winter in the mountains without supplies or food. During his time exploring the American West, Bridger encountered many Native American tribes and spent time living with them, learning their languages and customs. He also developed good relationships with several tribes, and they assisted him on his trips. The Native Americans respected Bridger, and he gained their trust by always telling the truth and keeping his word. One of his most famous quotes is, "I never killed a man, I didn't have to. I never lied to a savage unless it was to save his life or someone else's." After spending several years exploring the American West, Bridger returned to St. Louis in 1826 and began working as a guide and scout for the U.S. Army. He continued to work for the Army until 80, during which time he explored much of the American West and helped open up new areas to settlement. In addition to his work as a trapper and guide, Bridger also served as an interpreter for the U.S. government. In 1829, he was part of a delegation that negotiated a treaty with the Nez Perce tribe in Oregon Territory. And in 1834, he was one of the commissioners of the Council of 1834 in what is now southwestern Wyoming. This council was an important meeting between the U.S. government and various Native American tribes in which the government attempted to purchase large amounts of tribal land. Jim Bridger was one of the first non-natives to discover the Great Salt Lake in the desert of what is now Utah. He came across the lake in 1829 while exploring for the U.S. Army. When he saw the lake, he exclaimed, "Great God, what is that?" And so it was named Great Salt Lake. Bridger was also the first white man to explore the Beartooth Wilderness and the Absaroka Range of the Rocky Mountains. Bridger was a friend to the Native Americans he encountered, and he often assisted them in times of need. He helped the Blackfeet tribe fight against the Crow tribe, and he also assisted the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in their conflicts with the U.S. Army. Bridger believed that the U.S. government had broken the treaties that had been made with the tribes, and he felt that it was his duty to help them. He once said, "I have done a great deal of business with Indians, but my dealings have always been with individual men, not with the government. The government has no right to make treaties with the Indians, because it is not a sovereign power. It is a delegated authority." One of the most famous quotes attributed to Bridger is, "If you want to be popular with the Indians, don't come among them as a conqueror, but as a friend." Jim Bridger's nickname Bridger was given the nickname Bridger's Battalion by the soldiers under his command. They called him this because he had a tendency to name places after people he knew. For example, he named Bridger Creek in Montana after himself and named Mount Bonneville in Utah after his friend Tom Fitzpatrick. He also named many other geographic locations after people he knew, such as rivers, lakes, mountains, and valleys. When Bridger returned to St. Louis after his first winter in the mountains, he brought with him the nickname Bridger's Battalion. The term stuck. and he was known by that name for the rest of his life. The nickname was somewhat derogatory and was used by the soldiers to make fun of Bridger. However, Bridger took the name in stride and even used it to promote his own brand. For example, he used the name Bridger Battalion when he applied for a patent on a type of mountain gun he had invented. Although the term Bridger Battalion was sometimes used to make fun of him, Bridger never seemed to mind. He was proud of his nickname and even used it to promote his own brand. Bridger's legacy today. Bridger is remembered as one of the most important figures in the exploration and settlement of the American West. He was a skilled tracker and explorer who helped open up vast areas of the West to settlement. He was also a friend to the Native Americans he encountered, and he helped them in times of need. Bridger's legacy lives on in the many place names that honor him, as well as in the stories of his incredible adventures. Some of Bridger's descendants still live in the area around Independence, Missouri, where he is buried. They are proud of their family history and the role that Jim Bridger played in the settlement of the American West. Jim Bridger was a true pioneer, a man who braved the harsh conditions of the American West and helped open it up to settlement. He was a skilled tracker and explorer, a friend to the Native Americans he encountered, and a larger-than-life character whose stories have lived on for generations. Jim Bridger may be gone, but his legacy will live on forever in the hearts and minds of those who love the American West. What did you think of Jim Bridger? Do you know any interesting facts about him that we didn't mention in this video? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time on our channel.